All right, looks like we are recording. So welcome to today's Leadership Lunch Series. I'm going to turn things over to Jacob to get us started today.
All right, well, thanks for having me today. And Chris, thanks for joining. And whoever's watching this video after the fact, welcome. We're excited to be able to talk to you about how selling your skills as a student leader is important. I remember being a Stockton student. I was an RA, I was an admissions ambassador, I was involved in a ton of clubs, and I meet students every day as a career advisor, and all the time students are like, well, I haven't done anything, but they're super involved on campus, and I have to help them unpack everything that they've done on campus so that they can sell the skills that they have. So I'm going to take advantage of the live audience for now. Chris, what do you do on campus? What's your role as a student leader?
Oh, a lot, just like you. So I'm also an RA. I work in one of the offices, the Stock Center for Community Engagement. I'm the senior intern there, so I organize all the agendas and whatnot. I'm a student senator that's new this year. What else? Vice president of Residence Hall Association. So I do a lot. I'm everywhere.
I'm all over the place. So awesome. So you have a ton of skills that you'll hopefully be able to sell to prospective employers. What is it that you want to do after you graduate?
So I want to work with at-risk youth and try to get them back on the right track. When I found out that the RA position offered a recovery housing community, I signed up for that, and I've just been trying to hone my skills with that. Sadly, no one took us up on that offer this year because of online classes. So I haven't really been able to work with that community yet, but I'll find out somehow.
Okay. All right. Well, let me spotlight this video so it shows up for everybody. Okay, so we're talking about selling your skills as a student leader. This one thing at the beginning of the presentation I'm going to skip since it's only one live student, but I was going to tell students to text this code to phone, and so we could have some interactive engagement at the beginning, but we're going to skip that part, and Chris, you can just take a guess, and Shadia, hopefully I'm saying your name right. But Chris, if you do have questions throughout, type them in the chat, and then at the end I'll circle back to them and make sure I answer any questions that you have for resumes. All right. So what's the problem that we're trying to solve? And this is where I'm going to skip through. Here, I already saw the answer, I think. So the problem is that 80% of resumes are discarded, i.e. they're put into the no bin almost immediately after the first look through. Just the employer does a quick scan, and they can immediately tell this isn't a good fit for the position, or I'm not liking what I'm reading. And so they immediately throw this resume into the no bin. And so that means only 20% of resumes are considered acceptable, or enough to warrant a second glance and an in-depth reading to consider those applicants for that position. And out of those 20%, of that 10% are excellent. And this is somebody we're very, very interested in. Let's invite this candidate in for an interview. So just for example, to see the math work, if 100 resumes were submitted, 80 are quickly rejected, 80% of 100, and 20 are read in depth, so 20% of 100. And from that 20, 2 are excellent and invited for interviews. So out of 100 resumes, only 2 are usually excellent and warrant further discussion and invite them. Now that's very generalized math, but the principle is a very, very small number of resumes are excellently written for that position and sell the candidate as the best possible choice for that position. And that's a problem not only for all applicants for any job anywhere, but for students such as yourself, Chris, and anybody watching this who are involved on campus. you want to be able to sell what you've done and make a big deal about the skills that you have. Okay. And so the solution is to write a better resume. And that's what we're going to be talking about today. And to do that, I'm going to talk about 4 steps to sell your skills on your resume. 4 steps. And I'm going to build in some time at the end for some questions if you have them. And I'll try to elaborate if and when possible to kind of lengthen it a little bit. But these are quick little 4 steps to sell your skills. And then at the end, I'm going to show you some resources that we have in the Career Education and Development Office. Okay, so step 1 is to review the job description. A common misconception about resumes is that it's this thing that you have. I just have it. I wrote it once. I have this, and who wants it? You want it? All right, I'll give it to you. You want it? I'll give it to you. And if you want to be part of the 10% out of the 20, that upper echelon of resumes that are actually considered excellent, you want to target and customize your resume, that version of your resume for that job at that company. And so you want to start by reviewing the job description and seeing what it's all about and what makes that job unique. And so ask yourself, as you're reading through the job description, what skills are needed for this position? When you're describing what you're doing, if you have any relevant experience with directly relevant tasks and responsibilities, obviously that's going to be part of what you put on the resume. But for student leaders, oftentimes being involved as a leader in a club usually isn't relevant to what they're applying for. And so there isn't much relevant tasks or responsibilities, but they used a lot of relevant and transferable skills in the execution of their tasks and responsibilities. So you want to start by looking at the job description and extracting out of that what skills are they looking for. All right. So for example, public speaking, customer service, organization, oftentimes it's written right there in the job description. And I found a random job here on Comcast. I don't know why I picked Comcast because I don't think anybody should want to work for Comcast, but they are a good company. They just some people don't like it. But if you look through this, I picked this because they do write very good in-depth job descriptions. And you can see just by doing a quick scan through it, they work with little supervision or guidance. They're accountable for their results. The ideal candidate is going to have good customer service. They're going to be enthusiastic learners. They're going to be part of a team. They're going to respect and promote inclusion and diversity. They're going to have ethics. They're going to do what's right. They're going to be passionate. Again, customer service. Customer service, operational, administrative tasks, right? So you just scan through what it is that you're applying for in that position and try to extract out of it what are they looking for, okay? And then that leads on to step 2, which you're going to reflect on your experiences. And really step 1 and step 2 are interchangeable. You can do step 2 first and just have this as a master list of everything that you've done, and then do step 1 and match it up with the job, that specific job you're applying for. But you want to reflect on your experiences as a student leader. And so some of the questions that you should think through: what were your responsibilities and duties? I'm sure you were given a job description of what you were supposed to do, or a contract, or a list of expectations when you joined the team or were elected into that position. And there's something out there where it's possibly already written. What were your responsibilities and duties? And then you can also reflectively write it. And well, they didn't tell me I was going to do this, but I did this. And so write that down and just make a master list of this is everything I was responsible for and this is what I had to do. And then think through what has been your major accomplishment in your student leader positions. Does anything stand out that you want to bring attention to that might call attention to the fact that you have the skills they're looking for, or else you wouldn't have been able to accomplish that thing, right? So what are your accomplishments that you're proud of? And yeah, what are you most proud of? And then what is your typical role at meetings or other organized events? What are you doing? How are you doing that thing? Who are you doing it with or for? Just try to brain dump as much as you can, just to get it all out of your head, because our brains are not really good. They're good at processing, but not great at storing a lot of information. So just get it out, and you can have this master list of, this is everything I've ever done as a student leader in every role I've ever had. Okay, and you just have that as your master palette, so to speak, that you pull from. Okay.
Can I interrupt for just a quick second?
Sure.
And just give a plug for Osprey Advantage, because that's something that's located on Osprey Hub that also you can kind of look back and see all of your club memberships that you were a part of, leadership positions, any major events that you attended where you might get some skills. So definitely look there too as you're creating that master list.
Yeah, good. Just in case, because I'm spotlighting my video, I hope it captured the audio, but just in case it didn't catch the audio, Osprey Advantage is a good source for all of this, where you can look through and see a history of everything that you've done. And another question that you could ask yourself is, what programs or events did you plan and implement? So what were the large scale or even small scale programs and events that you did? And what did you have to do for each one of those? Okay. So just create this big master list of everything. And this is where you're going to start to, step 3 is to identify transferable skills. So this is where you're going to start the process of connecting what it is that you've done as a student leader to what it is they're looking for in this role. Okay. And so you look at what you've done. After listing the responsibilities, the duties, the accomplishments that you identified, determine the transferable skills that you have gained that match up with the skills that are required for the position. So in other words, I did all these things, right? I have this accomplishment. In order to do that task, or in order to accomplish that accomplishment, what skills were necessary to be able to pull that off? What transferable skills that can transfer into any industry, any context, what skills are behind that enabled you to do what you did? So try to identify what those are. And some examples of transferable skills are oral and written communication, teamwork, flexibility, critical thinking, discipline, interpersonal skills, dedication, creativity, self-motivation, accountability, detail orientation, public speaking, leadership, organization, customer service, mentoring, time management. These are all just a general list of transferable skills that may or may not apply to you, but what are the ones that do apply to you? So as you write down the responsibility and duty and accomplishment that you've done, right? So provided campus tours for prospective students and families. That's what I had to do. But in order to do that, what skills did you need? Well, I need to be able to have good public speaking skills. I had to have great customer service skills and good interpersonal skills, okay? If you coordinated with a team of 8 resident advising staff members to plan and implement weekly residence hall programs, what are the skills underlying that? Well, you had to work well as a team, so you had to be good at teamwork. You had to be very organized, because there's a lot of details that goes into that. And you had to have leadership skills to be able to lead the project and pull it off. Okay, so pull out the skills that are behind what you've done, and then match up from the list that you found in the job description as you reviewed it and you saw all the skills that they're looking for. Which ones match up? Which ones are very similar? And then now you know if they make a big deal about public speaking and customer service, but they don't really say anything about teamwork. Maybe it's a solo-oriented position. You work alone. You don't work as a member of a team. Well, then maybe you don't have this bullet, or maybe you write this bullet on your resume slightly differently so that it emphasizes a different skill. But you would make a big deal about this because they're looking for public speaking skills. So this is where you're going to start to connect the dots. And then you take that list and that content, and then you write your resume. And I'm going to show you some resources that we have here in the Career Education and Development Office for how to write your resume and what goes into a solid resume and making it look good and clean and professional. But for the sake of this presentation and just talking about how to sell your skills, when it comes to writing your bullets that you're going to have underneath each position that you've held, this is where these steps are going to kind of finalize. It's going to inform how you spin, so to speak, what it is that you did. Okay. So, for example, gained valuable public speaking and customer service skills, right? Those are the skills. But how did you, what was the purpose of having those skills? What did those skills allow you to do? By providing campus tours for groups of approximately 25 prospective students and families. Okay. This is an excellent example of a bullet that highlights your skills. Now, sometimes students come into my office and have me review their resume, and it might be the case where they've done this. They are an admissions ambassador, and maybe one of their bullets is they conducted campus tours. Okay, one of the most important things that you can do when you're writing your resume and writing your bullets specifically is to be as specific as possible, and as detail oriented as possible. One of the illustrations that I use when I tell students how to do this is, imagine you might have a niece or a nephew. Chris, do you have any nieces or nephews or any 5, 6, 7-year-olds in your life that you know?
I mean, the youngest cousin I have is like maybe 9 or 10, so.
Okay, so that'll work, right? Because a 9-year-old's brain is not your brain. So let's say your 9-year-old cousin says, "Hey, Chris, what do you do in that position?" Right? Well, tell me about your position as a student leader doing in this club. And you have to break it down piece by piece. And you have to be very detailed because they have no idea what student affairs is or higher education or clubs organ. They don't know. And so you have to paint a picture of what it looks like to do this job. So imagine that's what you have to do. You have to be as specific as possible. So you can see for this example, there's a number there, and it jumps out. It's a wall of text, but immediately your eye is drawn to the number. So if and when you can quantify things, make sure you quantify it and add a number that will do that. But a poorly written version of this would be conducted campus tours, because that doesn't isolate and highlight the skills that are needed to do that. And it's really not specific. So one of the things you can think through as you're asking yourself how to write these bullets is to filter what you want to say through what I call the W3HR filter. So who, what, where, how, and the result. W3HR. So I conducted campus tours. For who? For prospective students and families. How? By using public speaking and customer service skills. How many? 25 approximately per group, right? So try to ask yourself, what are the specifics that I can pull out of this, and then that will become your bullet. So then another example, utilize teamwork and organization skills to coordinate with a team of 8 resident advisors to plan and implement weekly residence hall programs. So notice this all ties into this previous screen here. Like this is what I did, and these are the skills I used to do that. All right. So utilize teamwork, organization, and leadership skills to do this thing. All right. One example that I love telling students is, I once worked with a student leader who was a an admissions ambassador, right? And as you're walking backwards all throughout campus, giving your tours, you have to be really aware of the group, and you have to, like, you're talking, and there are points in the tour that it's an exchange and a dialogue back and forth, but for most of the time you're talking. But if you're a good admissions ambassador, you're reading their body language, and you're trying to see who's engaged, who's understanding what I'm saying, or maybe they're confused or they're concerned about something and they're not saying anything. And you can pick up on that and address it in the moment. And if and when you're doing that, you're giving a highly valuable informational tour to that family, right? And this particular student, he was an admissions ambassador on campus, and he was applying for a position as a police officer. He was a criminal justice major, and so under his bullet, for one of his bullets under his role as an admissions ambassador, he asked himself, what skills do I need to have as a police officer? Well, I need to be able to accurately observe, gauge, and interpret body language and subtle cues from people in order to handle a situation correctly, right? If I'm pulling somebody over or making an arrest or going to a domestic disturbance, I need to be able to read people's body language. That's a skill that's required for this position. When did I use that skill? Well, as an admissions ambassador, I had to observe and reflect and understand and act on people's body language and be able to appropriately address situations based on the unconscious cues that they're giving me. So he wrote a bullet around that skill because it sells him for one of the skills that are needed as a police officer. So that's just one example. What is it that I want to do? What are the skills that are needed in order to do that? Have I exemplified those skills in the roles that I've held as a student leader? And then write your bullets around that. Okay, I already did that. So this didn't come up. Oh yeah, here it is. All right, so for you who are on the Zoom call right now, or if you're watching this video after the fact, the Career Education and Development Office is here to help you for your needs and helping you write your resume, and make sure you're branding yourself and selling yourself accurately and in an impressive way to make sure you're communicating what it is that you've done. And so I'm here on the Career Education and Development page on the website on stockton.edu. And if you're on any page on Stockton's site, you can just click this in the search bar and type career, and it'll go right to our page. All right. But when you're on our home page, you can click students here, or you can click students here. It'll change depending on if you're mobile or desktop. But on our students page, we have career resources, and that'll bring you lower in the page. And we have resume and cover letter resources for you. We have a resume writing guide that we've put together, and there's also a resume writing guide by this awesome resource known as the Campus Career Coach. So 2 PDF guides that might help you. We also have sample resume formats where you can click it and see what that's all about and go from there. And now I'm in a PDF and not the thing, so I have to go back. I lost the browser. And you can see how to write a resume, and essentially just copy and paste, not really copy and paste it, but mimic what we have there, and so you have a solid looking resume. All right. So we have sample resume formats, an action verb list. If you're going anything in the federal government, federal resumes, lots of information. And if you want to make an appointment with a career advisor, or if you just want instant resources from that career advisor, you can go to stockton.edu/career appointment, or from our page in the Career Education and Development site, you just click Make an Appointment, or stockton.edu/career appointment. It's this same page. All right, and then you click the career community that you are a part of, and your career community is assigned to you based, you self-select your career community based on what it is you want to do. And so, Chris, I can't remember what it is that you said at the beginning of this. What is it that you want to do after you graduate?
I want to work with at-risk youth in like the juvenile justice area.
Okay, so like social work type of positions. So you would be in the public and social services and law, because working with at-risk youth is a social service. It's a service to the public, right? If you want to go into anything creative or journalism or television, radio, that's arts, entertainment, communications, anything business, hospitality, and tourism, anything at all business related. Education, then that's self-explanatory, you'd be education. Healthcare and medicine, again, self-explanatory, anything related to that. This is the big nebulous one. Really anything that is a service to the public or providing a social service of some kind. Therapy, counseling, working with a nonprofit, working with an NGO. There's lots of careers that fall into that, or going into the legal field and you want to be a law or a paralegal or something. Then we have the STEM career community, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. And then we have an undecided career community. And this is like, I've considered all of these and I still have absolutely no idea what I want to do. I don't know. Then you're undecided. If you know you want to go into business and you're like, I like business, I want to go into business, but I don't know what I want to do in business, you're not in the undecided career community, you're in the business career community, and they'll help you. Dana DiFiore in our office will help you with that. So for you, Chris, you'd click on Public and Social Services and Law, and then that'll bring you to the career community page. And on this page, you'll see the career advisor for this career community. And then looks like this is actually green on the website, but it's showing up as black because I think I have a green filter on this screen right now. But this says resumes and cover letters, job and internship searching, and interviewing for the position. So these are virtual trainings you can watch right now. They're accessible 24/7. They take 20, 30 minutes just to read the material or watch the quick couple-minute videos. So we have every single advisor has a resource on resumes and cover letters. All right, and you can access that immediately, or you can click there to schedule and get on the advisor's calendar, pick a day that works for you, pick a time that works for you, and then fill out the information and click schedule, and you'll get on that advisor's calendar. So stockton.edu/careers, and we have a ton of resources for you for how to write your resume. So that's selling your skills as a student leader in general. For more specific focus to your context and your roles and your needs in terms of what you're looking for, there's a lot more that goes into that, and we want to help you one-on-one. So make sure you make an appointment with our office if you're watching this live or if you're watching this video after the fact. So do you have any questions about anything? I thought I had a Q&A slide at the end, but I don't. You have any questions, Chris?
Nope, you did a great job explaining everything.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to do. So
I'm going to go ahead and put the attendance link in our chat so that this way you can mark your attendance and have another thing to look at on your Osprey Advantage when you go in. And I'm going to go ahead and ask a question too, Jacob, because I do get a conversation that I've had with a lot of students over the years. If they're involved with a student organization that might be viewed as controversial to a potential employer, how do you navigate, like, do you usually advise them to put those experiences on their resume? Is there a way to still talk about their transferable skills without maybe listing the specific club that they're a part of? I think, most recently we've had the conversation about political organizations, or even, the new clubs that we have that are related to cannabis studies. Like if there's certain clubs that a student feels might be viewed as controversial for a potential employer, how do you navigate that?
Well, that usually will, most of the time I would assume that would happen if the industry they're hoping to enter isn't related to the clubs that they were involved in. Like if they were in the cannabis studies program, or they're, I don't know if we have a cannabis fans class organization, but if they're in the cannabis studies program, but they just did it because they wanted to learn about it, but they're not going into the industry, then yeah, that might be looked upon differently depending on who they're applying to. So first thing is just consider the audience. Is this relevant or not? And then if it's very clear, hey, this could be misinterpreted, or people are going to have opinions and they might make assumptions about what mine are, and we might not ever be able to start on the right track because they've made assumptions about what I think or believe, then you, instead of listing like this is the club that I was involved in, which is a big neon sign about what I think or believe, or an opinion or position I hold that might not be what you think, you can ask yourself, what did I do as a member of that club? So maybe you did a project, or you went out into the community and you did that. So you can just make that its own thing. So maybe you did a community outreach project. That's what you can put it as. But actually, as part of the cannabis studies program, you did outreach to advocate for the legalization of recreational marijuana. But you can call it community outreach event, and then student volunteer or community educator could be your title, and then write bullets that describe what you did, and trying to keep some of the terminology broad in general, which doesn't specify the context if you can, but you can still say, I did this thing and I used these skills in order to do that, but just be very strategic in how you word it. So that's a hard question to answer in a universally applicable sense. It's really on a case-by-case basis, but that's why you should come to the Career Education and Development Office and meet with your advisor, because we really want to help you.
Jacob, I also think that's a great way maybe to collectively describe a student leader who is a leader in many, many, many things. So you could say like a variety of leadership experiences across campus, including, and maybe name a couple, and then under that list like those skill bullets, like you were saying. Like you don't have to say for Club A that you manage their budget and Club B you manage their budget. You could say I was involved in all of these clubs and I did budget management, whatever, community outreach, service learning, and then you could kind of stack all of your experiences together.
Yeah, you could clump it like that. I like to say, if you ask 5 people how to write a resume, you're going to get 10 different answers, because Jeff, that's correct. You could do it like that, or you could break it down piece by piece and group by group. Like there's a lot of correct ways you can write a resume that's very effective. It just is really dependent upon your context and what you bring to the table and the audience that you're trying to pitch yourself to. So, again, meet with our office and we'll help you. So that was good, Jeff. Any other questions or things you think I should extrapolate on?
I think this was great. I'm going to steal some stuff.
Okay, good.
Yeah, this is a great overview, Jacob. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Chris, thanks for joining us. Sheedia, thanks for joining us. So appreciate it. Nice to meet you, Chris.
Thank you. Everyone have a great day. Probably see you at the next session.
All right.
Yes, next week we will take a break for the whole Thanksgiving thing, and then we will resume our leadership lunch on, I believe, December 3rd is the next leadership lunch, and we'll be focusing on how to be a leader in your community and involved with civic engagement. So it should be another great discussion. Awesome. So I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the week, a nice, healthy, and safe holiday. And we'll see you back in 2 weeks.
Awesome. Great. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.